Log 3, May 5th, 1900 hours. We have received no report on the redacted. I don't usually have a problem with operating in the dark, but we are in a BFN fustercluck. We did receive supply, for which we are grateful, but the rounds still do not fire. And after today, we need weapons that work. Send me an axe. Send me a sword. I don't care. Send me something. As to supply, we now have enough crates of medical water and MREs to survive easily 6 months. We do not require any more guns. And after today, I believe that Major Redacted's only accurate statement, well, maybe not the only one, but certainly one of the few, was that guns make great paperweights. I could throw them at the enemy if I knew where the hell they were. I believe most of the Major's previous logs were either intentionally erroneous or the result of some sort of mental break or unknown physiological failing. I am unsure exactly where to begin. So let's start at the beginning. At 1000 hours, Tap had tried to fill me in on a 1-hour look-see at the sphere. But on her way to me, the noise previously mentioned was heard again. I, Preacher, and Jax were the only one that heard it. Strangely, however, Tap and Preacher were standing right next to each other, and Tap heard nothing. The same could be said of Irish and Jax. I was reconnoitering supplies to the 2nd floor of the stagnant pool. If you bother to send anyone after us, you should tell them we've got water and MREs next to what we are dubbing the hot plate. I do not know how it works, all I know is that it does. I have not had time to have Tap or Preacher take a look at it. Anyway, it was after this sound that I requested Tap give us a poke and prod. Aside from my elevated blood pressure, there were no overt signs of anything out of the ordinary. Jax has slight hearing loss in his right ear, but he could have got that anywhere. So with no actual idea as to what the sound was, or why it was only heard by 3 out of this 4-man squad, I made the call and we started to search the buildings, leaving that mystery on the shelf. As I had said, we went in a grid-like pattern, similar to Irish and Jack's search pattern. It was quickly apparent that something was very odd within these structures. They are in majority a little bigger than 2-story buildings with open doorways, the interiors of which generally have 1 ramp, or 2, leading to the 2nd level. That is, in the structures that even had a 2nd level. Some were just cathedral ceiling shells. The thing that made them the most bizarre was the lack of furniture or decor of any type. Preacher had even mentioned that they reminded him of set dressing, solid on the outside but non-existent on the inside. However, the greater disparity was between 1 or 3 buildings per city block appeared to have been sealed with large and heavy stone from the outside. We attempted to use C4 to breach these structures, however it would not fire, and given the gargantuan nature of these stones, moving them would be far too difficult. Here and there, at least 6 in total, we found buildings that appeared to have simply collapsed in on themselves. By 1300 hours, we had made a more thorough, if hurried, search of the southern perimeter, from the debris pile to the east, to the wall to the south, to the wall to the west. The wall that was reported at 1,000 feet by the Echo was nowhere near. On a guess, I would have to say the wall to the south and the wall to the west are somewhere between 150 and 170 feet. They are, however, decorated with incomprehensible murals or scripts, or both. Preacher and Tapp were aghast. They kept coming up with theories or educated guesses, then dismissed them out of hand. In between and along the roads and city blocks were many of the so-called doghouse structures, scattered here and there. Just north of the midpoint of our search, from south to north, and near the western wall, we found one of these doghouses had an opening, and quickly realized that the others must have been sealed, much like many of the other structures around here. Irish was willing to volunteer and take a look-see. Jax had held his legs, and he drew out what the previous logs would have probably called a ceremonial weapon. It had the look of a bladed bat. It was approximately 2.5 feet long, with a sharpened blade along one side and a circular edge on the other. There were no apparent places to grip it. Otherwise, it was completely unremarkable, with no markings of any kind. As Irish stood up, it appeared as if he had suddenly hit a live wire. His body convulsed and fingers locked around the object. That's when things got serious. As the old saw goes, it happened so quickly. Irish came up, swinging his arms above his head. Jax was knocked to the ground. The sound again, the pterodactyl sound. It rang straight through my ears. I attempted to get a hold of Irish to lock him down. My back was to Preacher and Tapp. I heard Preacher shout cover, and I heard his P90 go off, but it was deadened. You could hear the rounds misfiring and ejecting whole and unfired. I tried to stop him from firing, but midway through my command I made contact with Irish. I'm still unclear as to what the hell happened, but it felt as if I was looking at a building alone in one of those vast deserts. But the building was somehow wrong and horribly distorted in a way I can't even begin to describe. Then I came to. I had Irish in a headlock, and the unknown artifact had been knocked clear of his hands, and he was just saying, "I'm good, Colonel Sam, I'm good." Jax was on his feet to our left, and he leapt over our prone bodies, shouting, "Put it down, put it down."